So there are we saw. Let's open that file and then I'll tell you what we
Hmm.
saw. It's a React project and we did Redux 1.
Hmm.
Okay. Uh, I think we work in this index file. Yeah.
Hmm.
So we saw that view is sending the dispatch, and dispatch is sending the action,
Hmm.
and action is sending the reducer, and reducer is saving the state into the store. And then once the state is changed, the new state is passed from the store to the view, and
Hmm.
all the places the store gets updated.
Hmm.
This is similar to in our normal React. When we change the state, the view gets updated.
Yeah.
Similarly, here, whenever the state is updated in the store, the new
The
state
view
is
is up.
passed to the view.
Hmm.
View is getting updated.
Hmm.
So this one was the normal functionality. Now in this functionality, we can also add the middleware. Now middleware are some functionalities which
Hmm.
can be used in between action and reducer. Here
Hmm.
middleware will come
Hmm.
and then reducer will come and then store will come and then view will come. So what does the middleware does? Middleware has many kind of functionalities.
Hmm.
Like if we want to do ajax call.
Hmm.
So normally in the Redux we cannot do ajax call unless we put some kind of functionality in the middleware. So direct ajax call will not work properly if we
Hmm.
put some middleware for the ajax call. So there can be lot of functionalities which are put in the middleware. Some people put saving into the server into the middleware.
Hmm.
So depending on each person's intention, you can have some kind of middleware.
Hmm.
So right now, practically we use couple of middlewares in our project. One of the middleware we use logging. Logging
Okay.
is something we don't build that logging part, though we can build that middleware also, but we don't build the logging middleware in our application. We get some third-party logging, which is a
Hmm.
middleware, and we use it in our application. Another
Hmm.
is for Ajax request, we use some Ajax kind of middleware, which I will tell you exactly what is the name, but it
Hmm.
does some kind of Ajax related things, some kind of Ajax related stuff. So we will be using, if you see React, we use the fetch kind of thing. We will be
Hmm.
using fetch, but fetch will not work properly with the Redux unless and until we use that middleware which will help us to do the Ajax call. So we will be doing fetch only, but it has to be called through proper middleware to work it.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will not give proper Ajax asynchronous response. It will give some error or it will not work, complete the Ajax request unless
Hmm.
we put some middleware. So we
Hmm.
will see some of the things of middleware in React kind of thing. So right now, these two are the practical things which we use in our Redux architecture.
Right.
Okay, so you don't have to think too much about middleware. What are the middleware? What we
Hmm.
should put it in it. Right now, just don't concentrate too much on that. Just remember that to make our Ajax call, we use some middleware. For logging, we use middleware. If you go for different company, they have many different things in the middleware. Some have some third-party libraries which
Hmm.
will do the Ajax call in the middleware. So depend on different company, they use different middlewares and they can
Right.
do different functionalities based on the middleware. So middleware
Right.
comes between the action and the reducer, and it does lot of things. A couple of things which we will see these two, and maybe more in future we will see some of the more middlewares.
Okay.
Now the important thing is how to use the middleware in our app in our store. That is something which you have to uh, remember now.
Mm.
So I will now show you how to use the middleware in our
Mm-hmm.
application.
Mm.
So when I create the store, I use the create store and I use combine reducers. Combine reducers were used to combine the reducers. If we have
Multiple
more
reducer
than
function.
yeah
Mm.
more than one reducer, we will use. So if we want to use middleware, we will call one more parameter here that is called as apply middleware.
Mm.
We will call this apply middleware from the Redux. Now we will use that in the store. So first parameter in the store we saw is reducers. First
Mm-hmm.
parameter is reducer. Second parameter in the store is the initial value. We saw we were passing one as an initial value in the
Initial
beginning,
state value. Mm.
initial state value. Then we change it. Then we pass the initial state directly in the reducer.
Mm.
So since we will be putting initial state in the directly reducer, so we don't really need the initial state. So we will put empty object as a
Okay.
second parameter because all initial state will come from this reducer. So we don't need to specifically pass initial state in the create store part.
Mm.
So create this part will be something empty object you can pass because initial state will be created in the reducer only.
Mm.
Third parameter which we need is the middleware. Now here we have to use the middleware. Now I need to download some middleware to show you something.
Mm.
Otherwise, you won't be able to understand what exactly middleware is doing.
Mm.
So let's download the middleware, and
Okay.
I'll go to Redux. There is some third-party middleware which we will be using now. That is called as I will say npm install Redux logger. This is the logging functionality which will do the console.log of the states before
Mm.
and after state, and we will be use this as a uh, minus minus save, right? So we will be using this as a reducer as an example to see how the middleware works.
Mm-hmm.
So let me install this one and I'll give you this one in the chat. You can try yourself. Once this is installed, this is the middleware and I will show you how to use this middleware, and we will use one more middleware for Ajax request, and that I will show you when we will do the Ajax part.
Okay.
Okay, so this is installed and now I will import this reducer. So to import the reducer, import this middleware. To import this middleware, so you will see there is an import statement, and I will say then create logger.
Mm.
And this is from their documentation, from their website of Redux logger. So
Okay.
it's coming from my mind.
Wow.
Just got from their documentation how to use this logger. This
Mm-hmm.
logger will be act as a middleware from the in the Redux application. Now let's see how to use this middleware. So I just imported it. Now I will use this in my middleware. Okay, so let's put
Mm.
it in the middleware. So I have this create logger. Now I will go to my create store line. And the third parameter which we need to pass here in the create store is the middleware. So I will use apply middleware as a function.
Mm.
Middleware, which I called here like this one. So I'm using this one, apply middleware. And in the apply middleware, I will say create logger.
Mm.
Okay, and it has to be called as a function. So every middleware which we call it, it has different way of using it, and we have to read the documentation how to use it. So with the create logger, we have to use as a function. There will be
Okay.
logger which will be used without this function directly. We can use that one.
Okay.
Within
Mm-hmm.
the middleware, we have to change the function of the simple one.
And middleware are set, right? I mean, there's a documentation on what middlewares we can use.
Yes, and we can build our own middleware also.
Okay.
And I will show you that one of the sample simple middleware which we can build kind of thing.
Hmm.
But that I will do in the later session. Right now, let's use the
Hmm.
middleware which we generally have. So,
Mm-hmm.
couple of middleware which we use in our application, we will use that. And
Hmm.
later, I will show you one simple example of building some middleware.
Creating it. Yeah.
Yeah, creating it kind of thing. So I put this create logger middleware in my application. Now we will
I
see.
think you missed an L in middleware there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
right. Middleware.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's use this middleware and see how how it really works. We don't have to do any special coding for this
Hmm.
middleware.
Hmm.
Everything is done inside this create logger function.
Hmm.
So I will just show you how it works. Okay, let's start with npm start. Started. I don't see it here. Let's see. Let me. Okay, it started now. Let me
Mm-hmm.
start again. Okay, let me start again. Okay. So the middleware which we added is this is something. This is something which I use in this one. This is nothing to do with this is something user reducer kind of thing which I created it. So there's nothing
Hmm.
in the middleware in this one. This is my statement.
Hmm.
But if you see, whenever the state got changed, it the middleware which I added, create logger, it shows some console.log statement.
Hmm.
One of the console.log statement is called the previous state.
Right.
Second is called action, which we used it in particular instance. And the next state, that means after my reducer, what is the change in the state? We see the change state. So
Hmm.
previous state is, we say math1, last value this, reducer is many, and 43. This is the initial state which we did not touch this part, and we call the add. We call the add type action type add
Yeah.
code of 5. Once I call this action, I can see the next state. Next state is the math reducer becomes 6. From the 1, it becomes 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
And last value become 1, and these two are same. So whenever create logger, what it does, whenever there is a state change, it automatically console.log these three statements.
Previous state, action, and the next state.
Right. So that we can see what is happening in our state, what is the variable state is doing, or how it is getting changed. So now my console.log is not needed. Let's delete that console.log. And then if I refresh the page, so now I can see only the console.log of the create logger. So
Hmm.
here I'm seeing first time when we are adding 5, then we are adding 100. So
Hmm.
then we are adding 104. Whenever the action is called, these three lines will be pasted, and we will see the state change, which is the previous state and the next state. So the
Right. Okay.
function of this create logger is it prints three lines of the code. previous state, action, and next state whenever there is
That
a
is what it does.
state change. Yeah.
Hmm.
So every middleware does different thing. For the Ajax call, if we don't use some of the middleware, then it will not really perform the Ajax call, and we will not able to do Ajax call. So we
Right.
need some middleware to do the Ajax call.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, in React we don't need it, but for the Redux, it does not work without middleware.
Hmm.
It needs some Ajax middleware to work properly all the functionalities. So
Right.
there are a lot of middleware. So some of the middleware which we will see, one is Create Logger, one is the Ajax one. These two we will see, and you can search more after that to see what others you can find on internet.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all about the reducers and middleware and the create store. So the
Hmm.
Redux part of our application is completed.
Hmm.
Okay, now we will. So whenever we want to do Redux part, we should remember these things. Again, I'll just repeat in short.
Yeah.
We should have create store. If we have more than one reducer, we should have combine reducer.
Hmm.
If we are using logging or Ajax request, we should have apply middleware from the
Hmm.
Redux. This
Okay.
is some middleware which we are using in sample in our application. So to
Hmm.
create reducer, we always need two things. One is the state, one is action. State should have
Yeah.
initial value, whichever I want to create, I will give that.
Hmm.
Action can have different parameter. It's an object. You can create any custom action and it will come here. And based on the action, you can define some of your logic. So for
Hmm.
example, in the math reducer, I will call action type as add, subtract. Maybe tomorrow I have another functionality. Let's say there is a horoscope website. So I will
Hmm.
say add horoscope as a one type, delete horoscope, match horoscope, some kind of functionalities I will create for each of my functions in my application.
Right.
And based on the action, we will change the state. And action
Hmm.
will also have some other variables, maybe payload or name. If I want to update the name, I can use action.name,
Hmm.
action.age, action.birthdate, action.profile image. I can use anything and I can update anything, whichever I want.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very flexible. I can use this anything and we can use action.anything to update the state.
State. Hmm.
When we create the store, we have to use the create store and we have to pass the reducer in the first. Second step is second parameter is the initial state, which we will not use in our store because we are already using in the reducer separately.
Hmm.
And there will be third part called as the middleware, which we will
Middleware.
use as a third parameter.
Hmm.
This function is really not needed. This is what I was just wanted to show the state is getting updated. So this will be got deleted when we go with the real website.
Application. Hmm.
So whenever we want to create something, we will use this dispatch function of the store, and dispatch function we can pass any action. This is up to us. Based on our
Okay.
logic, we will create this action and we will pass this
But
action.
dispatch function will only take one type at a time, right?
Dispatch, yeah, dispatch action will take one type. If you want to pass multiple, you can have multiple lines of the code.
Okay.
So this is all about the Redux part which we did. Now we will move to the React part and we will see how to really integrate the Redux with the React.
Mm-hmm.
So to integrate Redux with the React, I will create one simple project in the React and then I will show you how we will move the things into the Redux and to make it work,
Hmm.
right? So we will do that part now. So
Mm-hmm.
let's create one application. I will say create React app Redux 2. So first I will build the application in pure React.
Okay.
And then I will put one by one part of the Redux in it to
Hmm.
integrate it into that application. So you will see how the things go into the React application along with Redux.
Redux. Hmm.
Take a couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Still your mind will not be exactly clear of Redux, but once we do the whole thing and we will do multiple times, couple of times, you will
Yeah.
clearly see how the things are moving from one place to another one.
But from Redux point of view, all the concepts are covered.
Yeah, all the points of Redux is done.
Okay. Now, with through this project, we are seeing how integration.
I have to connect Redux with the React.
Okay.
Some companies uses Flux instead of Redux,
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
and 99% companies don't do Flux. That's why I'm not showing you. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you will be confused. Oh, whether to use Flux or Redux, and both are very similar. So you
Huh.
will really forget whether this is a part of Flux or whether it's a part of Redux. So I'm
Okay.
showing only Redux, which
Okay.
99% of people uses. And if you go for the Flux job, then I can take your special class for Flux also if you
Okay.
want. But
Okay.
don't do Flux till you get a job on Flux. Otherwise,
Right.
say you know Redux only.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, now I will go to this folder and then I will first install Redux because I will be using Redux in my application.
Hmm.
So let's install the Redux. Okay, actually I have to say minus minus save, sorry,
Hmm.
otherwise it will not save it. So do you know what does this save does?
It saves in your like the whole system, is it? Saves the
Okay,
session.
yeah, but save is actually putting the script in the package.json. If you see
Okay.
package.json, if
Yeah.
I added the Redux with save, you will see Redux is saved here in this line and
Okay.
Redux logger is also saved in this line. So
Hmm.
let's say by mistake or you forcefully delete this your node modules.
Hmm.
If you delete this folder node modules, then you cannot run the React application. So you need to install the node modules again. And so to install the node modules, you have to run the command, simple command called as npm install.
Install.
And
Hmm.
npm install will install all these scripts which are mentioned here.
Okay. So it
So
will. Okay.
so once I
Hmm.
saved it, this Redux and Redux logger is also there. So I don't need to again install it separately. Once I say npm install, it will install all this couple
Because
of
that
parts.
had been stored in package.json.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
And we commit package.json in the Git, but we don't commit node modules in the Git because node modules is very big in size. It may go to uh, GBs also. So
Right.
we don't really save the node modules in the Git. We only save the package.json, and the person who is working, he will automatically run the npm install, and in the locally he will have the node modules.
Mm-hmm.
So we never save this node modules in the Git.
Okay.
We only save the package.json in the Git. So the other developer will take the package.json and run the npm install, and it will get all the node modules.
Right.
Okay, there is some problem. Okay, I just run npm install. Okay, what happened? I run the npm install Redux.
Hmm.
Let's see. There is error already. Could not install in the Redux 2. Okay, let's Close this again. Let me work now. It will take some time. I'll do again cleanup one. Let's work into Redux one only now, and
Mm-hmm.
I will do it again later. npm
Okay.
start because we already installed both the things in
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't need to. Only thing I will save index.js because it will go away. So I will save it as
Override. Mm.
the 4. Okay, let's go and open the index.js again now. So now I will delete all my this Redux part. I will uncomment whatever was there
Mm.
and we'll back to React project now. Okay, let's refresh it. Now hello world is showing because my React type is showing hello world.
Mm.
Okay, because app.js is hello world. Now I will
Yeah.
make one application in the React very quickly. I will make very small application just to let you understand kind of thing.
Mm.
Uh, okay, so here I will say, for example, I will call one component called as main,
Mm.
and I will call another component called as user, and here I will say constructor prop, and I will create one constructor with some state. Here I will say super prop,
Props.
and then I will say this dot state is equal to, I will say username is Joe, for example. I'm
Mm-hmm.
only using the name as a Joe, and
Mm.
with my constructor, I will create one function called as change username, and it will take new name,
Mm.
and here I'll change the state of the username. So I'll say this dot
This
state
starts.
state,
Mm.
and I'll say username equal to new name which will be coming. Whatever new
Mm.
name comes, it will update here. And I will
Mm.
do console.log of this dot state to see what is in the state.
Mm.
State is this dot state. I created two components. One is called the main and one is called the user. In the
Mm.
first component main, I will pass my change username function. So I will say as a prop, so I'll say change username is equal to this dot change username dot bind this. So I'll say this dot change username dot bind this. So I'm
Mm.
passing this as a props. And for the user, I will also send as a props as a name. I will put some name equal to, and I will pass this dot state dot username to this component also to this. So main component is getting the change username, which is this
Mm.
one, really change the username of the state. And
Mm.
there is a user component. In the user component, we are passing the name
Username.
the value of this dot state dot username. So the whatever the username which we have, it will go as a name in this user component.
Mm.
Okay, now I will create the two components here. One is main.js and another one is the user.js. Let's put something in these two components,
Mm.
and I will put the main component. It will not have this constructor, it will not have this username, and it will have only, let's say, div, and in the div it does not have state does not exist in the main. it
Mm.
have it will have, let's say, h1 tag main application, and in the second line I will use button, and on click of button I will call one uh, function. So here I'll say change username So I can create a function here also, and on click of that button, I can call that function. So
Hmm.
maybe I can write some function blah blah blah, and on the click of the button, I can call this
Something
function
happens. Yeah.
like this dot
Hmm.
uh, blah dot bind this, something like that we can call this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is another way also without even calling the function.
Hmm.
Uh, don't remember this just because we will do this a lot, so you will get
Right.
idea. I will
Right.
create an arrow function here
Hmm.
at this on click, and inside the curly braces of arrow function, I will say this dot props dot change username. The one props which I am passing here, if you
Hmm.
see my app.js, I am passing change username as a props.
Hmm.
So I am using this dot props dot change username, and I will pass mango. So when I say this dot props dot change username mango, that means it will go to the change username of the app.js with the new
Hmm.
name, and it will change the state.
Right.
So instead of writing another function, I can do it here only. Simple way to do it here. So here create
Okay.
an arrow function and do whatever you want in this arrow function.
Okay.
So I'm calling this dot props dot change username. That means it will call the parent function change username, and it will then change the username to different mango. So initially was Joe. When I click the button, it will take this mango and it will change the username to mango, and mango will be displayed in all the views.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Okay. So now let's create the another component user.
Component. Hmm.
Here we have to change the name to main. So I will create another component user, and inside user I will use that username
Hmm.
user. So to use the username, I have to use the name this dot props dot name, because I am keeping changing the name from username to name. So all the props which goes into the user will be having the name of the name.
Hmm.
So if I want to use if I want to display the name, how will
Right.
I write it? How will I write it? Name is, or I will say
This
username is this dot props dot.
props dot username.
Username is not there because I'm passing name.
Okay.
I'm
Name.
passing props as a name.
Name.
So here will
Hmm.
be name.
Name. Hmm.
Right, that's it. So now if I go to the main application, here I have the button. On clicking of that button, I change the name from Joe
To
to
mango.
mango. And
Hmm.
where I'm displaying this mango, I'm displaying this mango in the user application.
Right.
Okay, let's see it in the practical world. I will import main from main.js. I will import user from user.js,
Hmm.
and both will be used here. Let's check it now. So here is my main application is the user application. Since initially I have the username of Joe, so I'm displaying the Joe to in the user application. But when I click the user name, change user name,
Change to mango.
it will call this button, and button will call this function. This function
Hmm.
exists in the app.js, and in the app.js we will update the state. Once the state will be updated, it will go to the user with a new name, and
Hmm.
in the user application we will see the username
Just
is
display it.
Mango. Yeah, it
Hmm.
will display it only. So let's change it now to change username. So you will see username is changed to
Right.
Mango.
Hmm.
So this is a very simple application in the React, that one we have the one component where we have the username, and then where we have the action, something to do, and same thing we another component we only display the variables.
Hmm.
So this is very simple application in the React. Now we will build the same application in the Redux, and we will
Redux.
see how the things are to be exported to the React, how to tie the Redux with the React. So
Hmm.
with this application, you will understand how to really use Redux in my React application.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay, so let's build from the start now. Okay, so since we need to use the React we need to use the React and Redux together. So we need to install one package. That package is called the React-Redux.
Okay.
So I have to install one package called as, I will say npm install. It will be React-Redux. So it's
Okay.
combination of React and Redux. It will do the work of
Both.
minus minus save.
Hmm.
It will install this application. I'll give you this in the chat. Okay, so this is installed. I will say npm start again.
Hmm.
Okay. So once we install, then we no change in the application till we change the code.
Right.
So the application is same. Now we
Same.
will one by one to. So now package.json has Redux, React Redux part in it because we just installed that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now let's move to our React Redux combination. So now when I want to really use my Redux in the React application, so I need to first call the provider. So this is something which we need to call. It's called a provider from React Redux. This is how we tying. This is the
Provider.
connection kind of thing. If there is no kind of reasoning, but this provider is tying the Redux with the React kind of thing.
Okay. Okay.
Now I need to use this provider. It should wrap around the app. So I will create one tag called as provider and I will end after the app. Provider will end here. So this provider will wrap around my application.
Okay. It is every time we have to do this.
Every time. This is one time we have to do whenever we start one project. So every new project will be using this one.
Use app.
Okay, this is not something every time you have to do in one project. One project will have one time this provider kind of thing.
Right.
In this provider, we will pass store, and this store has the value of the store which we created in our Redux one. If you remember, in the Redux we created variable store is equal to create store, and we created we pass the reducer and we pass the initial value.
Yeah.
So that store, the variable which we will create here, we will create that variable here. That store variable will pass as a store in the provider.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's build that store. So to build a store, what we need? So first we need
Create
import.
store.
First we will import.
Yeah.
Import will be create store, combine, reduce.
Reducers.
Let's say if I'm using one reducer also, I will use combine reducer, but later on, because my application will have many reducers.
Can grow. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm using it here. Apply middleware from Redux. These 3 lines of the code. I will also import create logger to see what's happening in my state. Redux dash logger. And then I call the provider. So I use these 3 things. Now let's create the maybe let's create the reducer, right? So right now I will create the reducer here. The first part, because store does not work without reducer. Right now, if you see, there is error because we have not created a store. We have not done a lot of things on this one. So let's create one reducer. Since I'm changing the username, let's create the reducer called as user reducer, which we did in the last time. Is equal to, it will take 2 parameters, state and action, and it will have this is a arrow function. So state will have default value. So let's have some default value. I will say constant initial value is equal to an object.
Yeah.
Later on, we will put in different files. So right now, I'm just showing you how to tie it, but don't think that everything will be here. We will be putting different thing in different files. So for example, here I will say name is equal to Joe and age equal to 33. I'm putting age also, though we are not using it in our application.
Okay.
We are only using the username
Name.
Joe. Right now, name or username, it's up to you, whatever you want to.
Right.
And in the user reducer, I will create a switch statement and switch, and it will be taking the action dot type. And in this, I will take the case first. It will be called a set name, and it has the state is equal to an object. And after that, I will say break, and this state will take previous state like this. As we saw, always set should take previous value and then overwrite it with the new value, and the new value will be name. Name will take the action dot payload.
Payload.
We can do same thing for the age, though we will not use it. So let's say set age, and it will take age of action dot payload. Let's put one default condition which will not do anything. It will have only break. So this is my user reducer, and user reducer is created, and we have to return the state.
Right.
After the switch, we have to return the state, and here we have to pass the initial state, the initial value. So this value is passing here as the initial value, and we are changing it based on the action dot type. So my reducer is created. Now let's create the store. So store will be create store, and first parameter will be combine users, and here I will pass an object. Object will take only right now one reducer, so we can add more. I can have key value pair, but in the ES6, if I put only key, it will have key as a same name and value will take from here. So no need to pass key value pair, just I will pass this value and it will give key automatically.
Yeah, it will expand. Yeah.
The second parameter here I will say is an empty object.
Right.
Third parameter will be apply
Middleware.
and here I will say create logger as a function. So this is my store is created in this way. So store creation is done. Okay. Now let's see what is the problem now. Unexpected token 36, line number 36.
Maybe of extra bracket.
Let's see which extra bracket. Okay, let's see. This one is.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
And this one is not closed.
Okay.
Now we have.
No.
Everything going good, but still we put this code, but it is doing nothing. We are not really
right now.
It's only just.
So we need to write the dispatch function and all.
Yeah, we have to call that one and use that one. So now you need to remember two functions which we will be using in the app.js. We will be using two functions in the app.js which you have to remember. Okay, so first function which we have to build in here. So these two functions can go in any of the component. I can use these two functions in app.js, or I can use this in the main.js, or I can use this function in the user.js wherever I want. Let's say I have 500 files. I can use these two functions in all the 500 files, or I can use this in function in only couple of the files and not in everywhere.
Okay.
So how to decide? Let's say since you are using this state kind of thing here, so we will be putting these two functions here. But tomorrow, if we want to use state here, rather than passing these props, if we want to use as a state from the Redux, we will call these two functions here also. So depending on where we want to use the state from the Redux, we have to call these two functions. So let's try to put these two functions to make it clear what we mean to see. So first function is called you can name anything, but this is the name which is given. People use this name as because it is a meaningful name, but you can name it to anything you want.
Okay. Okay.
You say map state to props. This function does the state to props. And what it means, you will see. And this function is an arrow function. This is the name of the variable, and it is an arrow function. And it gets the value of state. Here, state will come as a parameter. And who will pass this state parameter? Redux will pass.
Right.
And here, I will see what are my states are. So I will return. So here I will get the states. So what are the states we will see? One of the states is called the user reducer, which we will use. Another state, maybe if we have math reducer. So another state variable.
Those are reducers, right? Why are you calling them states?
Because all the state which are saved here will be used in this name user reducer.
Okay. Okay.
So it will be saved. These two states, these two variables will be saved in the user reducer function.
Right. Right.
Use state, we will use user reducer. If I have math reducer, all the variables inside it, whatever I have created, will be called using math reducer.
Right. 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 Yeah.
So all the state values will come from the user reducer. So here I will put some key. I can put anything. Key is X or anything or whatever we want. And I will say state dot user reducer.
Okay.
So whatever reducer I have, I will name
under
that.
user reducer. It will okay.
So if I have math reducer, I can say, let's say I can say Y state dot math reducer.
Right. Right.
I
Okay.
have that, but right now we don't have. But if we have, we can use.
Yeah.
So X does not seem to be meaningful name. So let it change to only user, not me.
Right.
I can also name it as user reducer, but then you will be confusing which is user reducer coming from state and which is the variable here. So let's name it as user here. So we will know that user is tied to this function. So we are getting all the state variables in this function, and we were saving it in the user variable inside this function. Initially the steps are little bigger, lengthier, so you will find little bit difficulty now to remember everything.
Right.
But when I will show you many things, you will see it will be very easy. Right now, since I am showing you the steps, and steps will take too much time because there are a lot of steps, but those are very logical steps. So once we will do multiple times, second time it will be much faster. You will understand it. Right now, just try to understand the concepts of the what things we are doing. Later on, it will be very easy, and you will be feeling it very easy. That okay, this is the state where we want to call. We will call this function automatically. We will call one more function. Two functions you have to call. That's it. Just you have to remember you have to call these two functions.
Right.
Second function which we have to create is called as map dispatch to props.
Okay.
And it will take an arrow function. And this arrow function will get a variable called as dispatch. This dispatch is nothing but which we were calling store.dispatch in our Redux one.
Right.
So whenever we have to call the dispatch with some action, we can call it here.
Okay.
So let's write down something here so that you will know how to do that. So here I will return an object, and object will have some functions. So for example, first function which we have to create is called a set name, because I want to change the username. So I'm calling the set name as a function,
Hmm.
and it is an arrow function. Okay, I can add one more, set age, which is not used, but if we want to create another function,
Hmm.
will be also arrow function. And in the state name, let's say I take one parameter called as name, and in the set age, I will take the parameter age. Because I
Hmm.
want to update the name, I will take the parameter name. Here I want to update the age, so I will take the parameter age.
Age. Hmm.
And inside this curly bracket, I will say dispatch, whatever we were writing in that dispatch, so dot dispatch we will write here.
Right.
And here I will pass an object. So dispatch takes the object, and the dispatch has type of, I can say, set underscore name.
Hmm.
And why I given the set underscore name? Because the
Because it's
because my reducer takes set underscore name.
okay.
So I pass the type of set name, so that whenever I call this dispatch, it should go to the reducer this case and do whatever I want to do.
Hmm.
So it will change the name. So whenever I call this function, it will call the dispatch with type set name, and it will go to the reducer, and it will go to this case statement, and it will change the name.
Hmm.
And then I will say payload. Payload will be the dynamic variable which is coming here, that is called the name.
Hmm.
So in my application, I will call this set name function, and this set name function will dispatch with the action type and this payload. And this
Right.
action will automatically go to reducer, and in the reducer it will go to, in this case statement, and it will do the needful whatever is mentioned here.
Okay.
Same thing if I want to do for the age. I'm showing you two examples, so it will be easy for you to understand. So I
Yeah.
will say dispatch,
Type.
and here I will put the curly bracket object, and here I will pass type of age, and I will say payload of age, which I am passing here.
Hmm.
Parameter. So if I want to change the age from my application, I will call this function. This function will dispatch, and this dispatch will go to the reducer in this case statement and do the changes in the state, and that state will go to all the pages.
Right.
So we created two functions here.
Hmm.
Now we have to connect these two functions. Still, these two functions are individual. It is not really tied to the Redux, React or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. There by itself.
So they are by itself. So we need to now connect these two functions to my React application. This is my React application.
So
I want to
middleware.
connect these two. This is not middleware. Middleware is something
No, you
different.
have to write middleware for this, is it?
No. Middleware is something not to be written, but we have to connect this application with this one.
Hmm.
Without
With that.
middleware,
Okay. So this is new.
yeah, this is new.
Okay.
Middleware will not come in this page.
Okay. Okay.
So to connect these two, I will call one. I will call one import statement, and that import statement is connect. It is called connect
Hmm.
React Redux. This is the application which we install, React Redux, and it has a function called as connect.
Okay.
When we export this, instead of exporting app, we will export the connect.
Hmm.
And after I say round bracket to connect, I will pass the app. So
Hmm.
instead of putting only app,
Yeah. We are
I will
passing
I
connect.
will put the connect, and last parameter will be app.
Hmm.
So this is one round bracket and this is another round bracket. We have to pass like this.
Hmm.
And in the connect, first parameter which we have to pass is the first function, which is this one, map state to prop.
Okay.
Map state to prop.
Props.
Second function which we have to pass is this one, map dispatch to props.
Props. Hmm.
Let's say map dispatch to props. So after these two statements, these two functions are really tied to in my application. If
To
I
your
am
React application,
yes,
to your
to my
React code, right?
application.
Hmm.
If I want to really see something how they are tied, I will do the console.log of props. So they are used in my React application as a props. So I
Hmm.
will say props is this dot props. So in this props, you will see really what's coming in the props, and these in the props you will see something related to this and something related to this.
Hmm.
So whenever we want to use this one, we will use something in this props. But whenever I want to use this thing, I will use something inside this props. So everything which we wrote here will be used inside this props. So
Okay.
everything which
Hmm.
we saved state or anything in the Redux is used in the React in the form of props.
Right.
So let's see what is coming in the console.log. I will
Hmm.
this one and I'll refresh it. So once I refresh it, state is same which we have username Joe, which you can see here. State is this one, this one. This is not the Redux state. This is the React state on this component which we built, which was
Hmm.
default coming previously, which is by there in the React component. So this
Hmm.
is not the Redux state. This is the state in the my component.
Yeah.
And if I want to go to props, in the props you will see one is called state age, which we created here.
Hmm.
One is called set name, which we created
That we
here.
created. Yeah.
And one is user, which we created here. And if we go inside the user, we have age and name, which we created in my reducer.
Hmm.
So tell me if I want to display this name, I can name it as Joe1, for example. If I want to
Hmm.
display this name, how will I display in my application? I will say this dot props dot user dot name.
Yeah.
So I can access
The name.
the
Joe
name
one.
in the reducer.
Hmm.
If I want to access age, I can say this dot props dot user
Dot
dot
user
age.
dot h. Hmm.
If I want to call the function name, set name, I can say this dot props dot set name, and then I can call this function.
Right.
If I want to call the age, I can say this dot props dot set age. I can use this function.
So even when we are connecting Redux and React, remember when we were doing React and trying to move to Redux, you said that components can grow. Like right now we have two components, only main and user, and but components can grow, and that is why when we have growing applications, we use Redux. You
Right.
told me. So now
Right.
that we are connecting both Redux and React, still main and user component we are calling inside that app.js, right? So
Right.
how is Redux helping us in that? That we'll understand later, or what?
You'll understand in a couple of minutes when I
Okay.
use the
Okay.
complete uh,
Okay.
finish this project. You will understand it.
I mean,
Okay.
I didn't understand, like when you explained me the React application for changing Joe to Mango, that I understood by itself.
Yeah.
Now we are doing something with React and Redux, that also I understood. But what is the difference between two? What is the advantage of connecting versus
Yeah.
pure React? That I am not able to understand.
Yeah. Still, I'm not at that place, so
Okay.
you
Okay.
that thing. So once I will do little more, you will understand that one.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now, since okay, one second. Okay, now we call the reducers detail in my React application. right?
Hmm.
Now let's try to use this uh, this user reducer in my application. So now instead of calling the change username from here, we created this change username here. Instead of calling this change username this one, I will call this set name.
Hmm.
I will not call this username. I will delete this one. Okay.
Okay.
I will delete this part also
Hmm.
because states are now managed in my Redux, so I don't need this state.
Hmm.
So instead of calling the change username from here, I have to pass this set age. So to call this set age, I have to say like this dot props dot set name,
Hmm.
and here I will push the part. Here I will say, let me see what I can show you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So let me make it simple and for now, and
Hmm.
then we will try to make the more complex application
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay, I will just say, if I say this dot props dot set name
Hmm.
dot let's say bind this. Let's do
Hmm.
same way. Instead of
Right.
calling the username, let's call this set dot props dot set name bind this. Okay.
Hmm.
Now let's see what is coming. Is there error? Okay, because we have this username error. So let's change this part also. So to show the username, I can say this dot props dot. Where is the username? You remember? It is inside this user.
Yeah. Yeah.
Inside user
Map
we
to.
have
Hmm.
inside user we have name.
Username. Hmm.
So we will pass this name because state is not there now.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so it's showing Joe1 now because
Okay.
it's coming from here.
Right. But okay. Yeah. But why did we use props inside app? Why did
Always
we use this dot props dot username? Why did we use props?
because always these two things will go as a props inside my React application.
Okay.
So
So a
whatever,
username is inside the. Okay. Hmm.
so user is something this user
Hmm.
and
That is
name
inside
is,
my.
yeah.
Hmm.
So name is something in the user reducer. We have name,
Hmm.
and this goes as this dot props dot user dot name because it is
That's
inside
why.
user.
Okay.
And the set name is something we defined it here. Set
Hmm.
name. So we can use this dot props dot set name. I will say bind
Hmm.
this, and this
Okay.
go as a change username. So instead of the change username which I created here, now change username is calling this one, and
Hmm.
this one is
Right.
being the name.
Changing it. Hmm.
Now when I go to the main, it will call the parents change username, and parents change username is nothing but this one, and it will automatically call this one. So
Hmm.
what it will do, it will dispatch this thing,
Hmm.
and in the dispatch it will set the name, and it will pass the payload of the name because we are passing parameter name here.
Right.
So once we dispatch this, it will go to the reducer, and it will go to this case, and it will update the state.
Change the name. Yeah. Hmm.
So if I click change name, if you see my
Mango.
action is going set name payload mango, and previous one we have Joe one, and the
Right.
next one goes to the next
Mango.
case that
Yeah.
is. Let's say if I
Okay.
let's say if I want to change the age also,
Right.
and say change
Change.
age,
Huh.
like a new variable called as 23,
Hmm.
Here
Change age. Yeah.
I will pass another one.
The start prop start
Prop,
set age.
dot set age dot bind.
Hmm.
So it will call this one, and it will go to this part, and it will change the age part to the new value. So let's
Right.
change age. So the new age is 23. We can display the new age also here in the here. I can say age is, let's show age also. And from app.js, I will pass age also. And age will be in the this dot props dot user dot age, because
Hmm.
we have the age here also. We can pass age also. Now if I click the change age, okay, it's not displaying. Let's refresh it. Age is 33 inside. If I
Hmm.
change age, it's showing
Change age.
23. If I
Change
change,
username. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
now still I have not told you little more thing kind of thing.
Hmm.
So this is one thing kind of thing.
Hmm.
Now instead of putting, so for example, let's say I don't put this here. Okay, I just call the main component.
Hmm.
I will copy this part code and I will
Hmm.
put it in the main one.
Right.
And here instead of calling the previous page change username, I can call
Hmm.
here this dot props dot set name mango.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
can call this dot props dot set age 23.
Right.
So we are calling this, since this is not needed here.
Hmm.
uh, we can right now we can use it, or we can delete it, and then we have to empty this part kind of thing. We have to pass null here kind of thing.
Hmm.
But let's keep it here for now, and then we will see now if it's working correctly.
Hmm.
Okay, let's see. Okay, connect part is,
Connect is not. Yeah. Import. Hmm.
so now if I change name, it is
Hmm.
changing, and it is changing.
Hmm.
So let's say now if I copy this part in the user one,
Yeah. Import.
I will import this part here, and instead of displaying here, I can display as user dot name, because it will come from here.
Hmm. Hmm.
I can say user dot age will come from here, and in here I can only call this user one. I don't pass anything,
Hmm.
and then I'll test it. Change username, change this, and now I'm not passing it from here. So let's delete it from here.
Hmm.
Since I'm not using it here, I will revert this to original, refresh it, and I'm using able to do
Right.
change.
Right.
So wherever you want to use kind of thing, there only you can call these things, and
Hmm.
wherever you don't want to use it, you don't need to call it
Right.
from this place. So now, if we have hundreds of components going down, 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 previously what happened in the React, we have to pass it as a parameter here,
Hmm.
and we have to pass it till we go wherever we want. So
Hmm.
every time we have to pass as a parameter. So with 2, 3 pages, it's okay. But if we want to go down line of 10 pages, it becomes
Hmm.
very difficult to pass 10 pages, and each one will go to the parents one app.js to update the things.
Hmm.
Now everything is now centralized, located. Everything is located in the store. So wherever component need that thing, we will call these 3 lines of code. Not 3 lines, means 3 parts of the code, and
Hmm.
then we can save the state and we can get the state, and we don't need to worry about passing the things from one place to another kind of thing. So
Right.
maintenance point of view, wherever we want to call the state, we can
Only
choose this
there we
path,
can define. Yeah.
and if we want to take it some action, we will use this one, and it will go to dispatcher part kind of thing. So we
Right.
don't need to worry about passing the things from here to downline anywhere. And if it's a big application, it was very much problem, because I have to create all the functions here, and then I have to pass each function to the downline. Let's say if I have 100 pages, that means I need to create 100 functions, and I need to pass 100 functions to the downline. It was little difficult in maintenance point of view.
Hmm.
So in the Redux, it is centrally located, which is in the reducers, and so we
Yeah.
we
Access
can
it.
do what we want.
Okay. Got it.
So this is the advantage of the Redux kind of thing, that we
Okay.
can choose the things anywhere,
Okay. Okay.
wherever we want to. We don't need to definitely create an app.js, because initially React came with this one, and it was very difficult to pass the function from downline to upward, so people cannot really use it. So they started using the Flux in the Facebook. But
Hmm.
other companies don't like the Flux, because Flux has the problem of creating multiple stores. Here we are creating
Right.
only one store.
One store.
It does everything. But in the Flux, we have to create multiple store. So it was
Multiple
little
stores
more.
for multiple reducers, is it?
Yeah, there was not reducer. So instead of reducer, there was a store. So
Okay.
in
Okay.
Flux, we have different stores
Okay.
instead of reducers.
Okay.
So people don't like that idea. They like this idea. So people have moved towards Redux more.
Right. Okay.
So this was the how we tie things from the React to Redux kind of thing. Next time we will see how to do the Ajax in the Redux, and
But this
Ajax.
tying thing will become more clearer with more examples, right? I mean, definitely I will revise
Right.
today's class, but it will
That,
become more clear.
yeah, there are a lot of steps going on it, and
Yeah.
these are steps. These are very simple. See, two parts of the code is there, but since we do one by one, it looks little bigger kind of thing.
Right. Right.
And once you do more and more examples for this, you will become very familiar with this kind of code. So it will be very easy for you to build the reducer
Hmm.
and build the this dispatch part, or call
Hmm.
the state. So it will be very easy when we do multiple projects.
Okay.
Right now, just remember this one, that in the index we create the store using this import statement. We create the reducer, and
Hmm.
we use the reducer here in the store, and we use the provider in the wrapping the app.
App.
And then in the app.js or wherever we needed it, if we want
There
to
we.
need any variable from the state, we use this function. If we
Hmm.
use any, if we want to set something, we use this dispatch function.
Right.
Dispatch does nothing, but it dispatches the action to the reducers, and
Yeah.
reducers do all the kind of work.
Yeah. Dispatch was clear. Yeah.
So right now, just remember this. If we do, after we do Ajax call, we will do couple of projects, and then it will be much more clear for you. And you will be, by the time you will do couple of projects, and so it will be, you will remember this thing easily. So it will be
Okay.
easy for that time.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is the first thing and new thing for you. So you
Yeah.
may
This is
feel,
very new. Yeah.
but once we do it multiple times, it's easy, because nothing is there more than this one, except there is
Okay.
something of Ajax.
Right.
Other, everything is inside this part. So once we grow, we will make bigger application. You will see these things repeating every time.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
there is no other thing which we do it. Though
Okay.
there are
So this is
many,
the only way.
yeah, no, there are many developers. Most of the people do like this, and there are some addition third-party library. That is different thing. That is not a part of Redux and React, but React Redux is something this much only.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
And let's say if you are using third-party some library, so they will give you some code base which you have to integrate with this Redux application. So, for example, uh, you will have some, let's say, third party blah blah blah. They will
Mm.
ask you to add this code before provider, something like
Mm.
that. So you have to
Mm.
put that code before provider. So
Mm.
if you are using any third party thing, they will give you guidelines where to insert these things,
Okay. Right.
and then you have to use that in the
As
particular
it.
place.
Okay. Use basis. Yeah.
Right. Otherwise,
Okay.
we are done with the concept of React and Redux. Once we do Ajax, so you will be little more
So
clear, and
Redux
then
Ajax would be different from the Ajax call that we learned in React classes.
yeah, because here we need some middleware, otherwise Ajax will not work. We
Work.
need to call
Mm-hmm.
some middleware, and with the help of those middleware, we will be able to call Ajax request.
Okay. Okay.
If we are using Ajax request directly in the React, then it's okay. But since we want to save that Ajax request response in the store,
Hmm.
which this is the store,
Hmm.
or in the state, then we need some additional middleware which will help us to do that thing.
Right. Okay.